is the big moment.
About to make the leap into farm.
I haven't really confessed it to anyone, but I haven't owned anything larger than a hamster in my entire life. This is all new to me. Becoming a farmer in 180 days. This is a journey from zero to livestock management in 6 months. So 6 months ago, with absolutely no prior experience, I decided I want to raise beef cattle for a profit. Now my background is in business marketing and retail management, so the profit end of it wasn't so scary to me as the beef cattle end of it. But I wanted to share this story with you today because 6 months later, I am seeing how this may have been something building into a greater and bigger picture. So at the onset of this journey, I had 3 major resources to get me from absolute nothingness in the realm of education in this sphere. One was a friend who she runs a few cow-calf pairs. And then the second one was a local rancher. And then the third one was a book that I picked up very early on. It was called Salad Bar Beef by Joel Salatin. And it was actually that book that got me thinking more regeneratively. It sort of showed me that raising beef cattle could be a real two-edged sword with respect to regenerating your land base and creating a product that is healthy and good for people. So as I sort of got into reading that book, I went to that same rancher for a second time. And instead of asking 1,000,001 questions about cows, I began asking questions about grasses, how they grew, and sort of the forage system in general. And he looked at me at that point and he said, if you can get a handle on this particular element of the system, if you can shift your focus to what's going on underneath your feet, you're going to have an advantage in this industry. He says to be a cowboy or a cowgirl without serious consideration of the forage system is kind of like looking at a forest without considering the trees. And at that point I was like, okay, this is it. About the time my focus shifted to pasture management over animal management, I kind of realized that a lot that I was reading about cows could be translated into sheep. And at that point in time, the family farm had a flock of purebred Dorper sheep, and it was really suffering. We made some mistakes up front with respect to worming, which had put our flock into a state of resistance to the conventional worming methods. They were at that time overtaken by things like bottle jaw, coccidia, barber poleworm, and just didn't look like they were going to last much longer. So as I realized that I could probably manage sheep in the same way that I was planning to manage the cows, I made a pasture plan to begin rotating the sheep, sort of just as a means of practice before I jumped off and made my big investment. To be honest, I was sort of nervous about managing livestock with no previous experience, and I thought, well, if I can get the sheep into some type of pasture rotation, I can at least see if I can manage it, and then if it'll be sort of a viable option for the cows oncoming. Well, we began the pasture rotation in August, and we began rotating every 2 days, and within 8 weeks, the health of the flock had turned a complete 180. Ewes that we expected to die within days didn't die, and it was absolutely unbelievable. Now, at this point in time, we are still conventionally worming, but it's absolutely incredible to watch the transformation that kind of took place with a little bit of pasture management injected into our farming system. Something that I heard said was that if you take care of your systems in a way that benefits your land base, the health of your animals will naturally follow. And while I'm still at the absolute beginning phases of this, I saw a little bit of that with the sheep. So now, instead of, being at a place where we're looking at how to bury 30 sheep, we're actually looking at potentially being profitable with our flock here. In a lot of ways, if you boil down profitability, it's taking a resource and converting it into a product that appeals to the masses. And to put that in the context of what I'm doing here, if I can take a resource that I have, which is sunlight and well-managed grasslands, and convert it into a gourmet grass-fed beef or lamb, which is in high demand, that can be a very profitable situation. And at the risk of sounding too idealistic, I do realize there are risks. And not everything goes perfectly, but what business does not involve risk?
Big commitment for you guys.
It is, but it feels kind of good because, I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. I guess I'm at the place in the game where I'm realizing it probably wasn't really about the cows at all. Maybe this whole thing was kind of just a way that the Lord was using to bring a greater awareness of a more valuable asset, or systems that improve what we already have, or a method of grazing that benefits livestock that we already own. And now that we do have the beef cattle, it's just one more link in the chain to maximum efficiency and really proper stewardship.